I want you to tell us the story of the Webbs moving over here, what you remember, who it was and what the story was, and who all the homesteaders were.
Well, you'll have to ask me some questions because I don't.
Well, who homesteaded over here? Who were the four people?
The homesteaded. Well, my grandmother.
What was her name?
Zinnie.
Zinnie.
Came here with all of her brothers. Grandpa Tollett with Uncle, and he had a son named Raymond, Owen, Jim, Gaither, and then there may be another boy, but then they had Zinnie, Chloe, Ida, Aunt Ida, and some of the literature that we were reading, they said they drove 250 hogs from Tennessee, Chattanooga to O'Mugly, Oklahoma. But I never did hear Mama talk about any hogs being driven. But Uncle Jim brought his family, and they got to Hereford one night, and my mother was born, and they named her Texas Zola because it was in Texas. And Uncle Jim buried a baby that night, the very same night that Mama was born.
Jim, what was her last name? Tollett or Webb?
Uncle Jim Tollett.
But
the Webb family, Granny came over here to where she homesteaded, and her husband went to town to get a load of lumber to build them a house. Coming home, the horses went wild and turned the wagon over and killed him. So Aunt Ida, Mama was left with a baby, a 2-month-old baby and a 2-year-old little girl.
And that was Minnie, the 2-year-old?
Minnie and Mama. And so Nathan, which was Mama's daddy's brother, came.
Nathan Webb?
Nathan Webb, N.S. Webb. Nathan Sylvanus. Anyway, he came and he wrote back to his dad, the Webb family, and said it was the most beautiful place on earth. And the grass was knee high, and said it was just next to heaven.
And the Webb family in Tennessee?
To the Webb family in Tennessee. So then he filed a claim. Granny was filing a claim, and Nathan filed a claim. And
who was the fourth one? Wasn't there 4 people filing claims up here?
Well, Uncle Jim filed a claim. Uncle Raymond filed a claim.
And those were Tolletts?
Those are Tolletts.
And then your grandmother filed the claim? Webb?
Yes.
And who was the other one? Nathan Webb?
Just the Granny Webb. Granny and Nathan Webb were the only Webbs.
So the other 3 were Tolletts?
There was more than 3 Tolletts. There was Uncle Raymond, Uncle Gaither, Uncle Jim, Uncle Owen, and then Granny and Nathan and Aunt Ida and Aunt Chloe. They all filed claims.
All close together up here?
All in this area, yeah.
Who was the 4? But do you remember who the 4 were that's over here? That's the Belcher land now.
I don't know much about the Belchers.
Well, that was, but all this Belcher land was Webb land at the beginning, right? Webb and Tollett.
Yes.
And then Grandma bought it all. Correct?
Well, Daddy and Mom wound up with the Tollett. No, not the Tollett. The Webb part.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was the four.
John Music. Now, let's see. I don't know. He didn't file a claim up north of Daddy and Mama's. I think he bought that off somebody.
Didn't you say Nathan and then your grandmother was two separate claims? Isn't that what you said a while ago?
They each filed a claim, and Granny and Nathan never married until Minnie and till Mama left home, a senior in high school, and she was going off to college to some college. Anyway, Granny and Nathan married then, and it made Minnie and Mama so mad that they had a little temper fit and went to Dallas. They ran away to Dallas because their mother married Nathan after all those years. And Aunt Chloe went to Dallas to get the girls and bring them back home. Minnie had 3 children, and she was never married. She had a boy named Jack Webb out of wedlock, and Granny raised him. He went to school at Rogers all that time. Then Kurt came along, and Granny raised Kurt. Then Cuz came along, and she stayed with her mother most of the time. But she did decide she wanted to graduate from Rogers, so she came out here her junior and senior year.
Her name was what? Cuz?
Billie Jean's
her
name. I call her Cuz.
Cuz, yeah.
Cuz.
Oh, okay. I didn't.
So anyway, Minnie, she was kind of wild, evidently, but everybody loved her. She had such a wonderful personality.
So where did Grandma and Grandpa meet and when?
Grandma and Grandpa who?
Where did your mother and Daddy meet and when?
Oh, I don't know. They got married in Hogs, but I don't know where they met.
Well, when did Grandpa come out here? Belcher. Your dad.
Now, Grandpa Belcher.
My grandpa.
Ralph Belcher.
Ralph, your daddy.
Well, he had my grandpa had
Right.
4 kids, and his wife died and is buried at Inez.
Is that Sarah?
Sarah.
Is that right?
So they moved to Grandpa Belcher, took them to California, and it was hard to make a living or take care of them or something. So he sent the kids to
His sister.
Sissy Thomas.
His sister. Sissy, right?
No, it wasn't his sister because it wouldn't have been my aunt. I didn't have an Aunt Thomas. I didn't have an aunt by the name of Thomas. Are you saying I did?
I thought that was his sister that married a Thomas, and they mistreated those kids.
Aunt Sissy was a Thomas, and she wasn't good to the kids.
Did they just call her Aunt Sissy, or was she actually a relative?
I thought she was your grandfather's E.E. Belcher's sister. Is that right?
I don't think so, but
But I thought which Belcher's buried out in California?
Daddy's mother.
E.E.'s wife. And what was her name? I don't remember. We'll look it up.
I don't.
Do you think you remember where some of that stuff happened down in the lake?
Well, I can kind of show you where Aunt Ida's dugout is, kind of.
Okay.
But I don't. I think there was a dugout out north of Granny's house now. When I was born in a 2-story house.
I want to know where that was at. Do you remember where that's at?
That was down in the lake from the house now.
Well, we'll drive down there, and do you think you can remember where it was at?
Well, I can point it out to you.
Well, let's do that then.
Cool beans.
Anything else? This is gonna go down in history. So if you have anything else, we'll probably make it a movie on the History Channel.
What if it's not true?
They won't know it because you're the only one that knows it, so nobody will know if it's true or not.
My brothers and I had such a wonderful childhood. We would walk from Granny's over home in the summertime. If Cuz didn't walk over to our house, we'd walk to see Cuz.
Now, where did Cuz live?
Cuz was with Granny.
Oh, that's right. Down in the house that's there now.
Yeah. Homer Bennett built Granny's house that they're in now.
Down in the lake. What year was that?
Oh, God.
30s or 20s?
Oh, I don't know. I can remember barely building it, so it was.
Well, okay, so her husband was killed bringing the load of lumber out, so wouldn't that be...
It'd been about that time, wouldn't it?
Mama was about 2 months old. Minnie was 2.
So it would have been in 1906.
I was just going to ask how long after that were they able to build it for her? Maybe you could kind of tell
that
way.
was now.
How long after Mr. Webb died did they build the house? Do you know? Probably pretty quick.
Granny, the man that got killed bringing the lumber
That's your granddad.
would have been my grandfather, but it was a long time before Granny and Nathan. Homer Bennett built the house now standing.
So where did they live? Where did they live in
okay.
between that time?
In a 2-story house
Oh, okay.
down in the lake.
And that's where Harold was born, and you were born there?
Yes,
That's what I want to know, if you can remember where that was. We want to see that.
I can remember. I was really little, but I had climbed up the stairs in that old 2-story house, and I ate a whole bunch of little red pills, and they were cod liver pills. And Granny and Mama got all alarmed that I had eaten so many little red pills.
Did you get sick?
I don't remember.
Did you get a whooping?
No,
You didn't get a whooping?
no, I don't think so.
Well, did you ever get a whooping?
My daddy whipped me once that I'll never forget.
Grandpa Ralph whooped you?
By far.
I find that hard to believe.
Well, he did.
He never whipped a grandkid in his life.
Well, he whipped me.
Did he, Alan?
You want to know why he whipped me?
Yeah, why'd he whoop you?
I had mopped and waxed the whole house. I did on Saturday. I mopped and waxed the whole house. Jerry came through the house with cow manure on his feet and came in the back door through the kitchen, dining room, living room, down the hall, and back up here in the kitchen. And I took a cord off of an iron, and I was whipping him. And he went out the back door screaming bloody murder. I was behind him whipping, just beating the tar out of him. And Clarence Clark hollered at me, and he said, Doris, Doris. I looked up, and Daddy was coming. He had a thrasher belt this wide and probably about 6 feet long. And he whipped me, but good. He gave me one whipping. And he said, do you think you've had enough? And I was too stubborn to answer him, so he hit me another lick. And he said, now, have you had enough? And I said, yes. Oh, I could have killed Jerry because he didn't get a whip. Anyway.
Did you reckon Jerry done it on purpose?
Huh?
Reckon Jerry done it on purpose? Did Jerry track it in on purpose? Probably.
Well, they didn't appreciate.
They didn't care.
Anyway,
Does.
Daddy took that thrasher belt thing, hung it on a nail right beside the ironing board. Every time Clarence Clark came through the dining room and we was going to the kitchen, he'd hey, Doris, look, and he'd flip that cord. That thrasher belt hung there for a long, long time. I mean, it hung there 2 or 3 years after that. But I finally got the nerve to take it down. But I was black and blue, and Paul Dixon came along, said, "What on earth?" Well, I was so black and blue, I had really had a whipping. I rolled my shirt up here, and I wore shorts, and I rolled them up where my bruises would show. I just pranced around in front of Daddy, and I know he didn't like me doing that. It's a wonder he didn't whip me again. But I don't remember him ever whipping. I don't ever remember him whipping the boys. But I got a licking.
Did Grandma ever whip the boys? Probably not, huh?
No, imagine. I don't know. But anyway, he made a believer out of me.
Well, do you want to go down and look at some spots and see if you can remember where they're at?
Well, we can go look now. I don't guarantee I know.
Well, all right. Let's rig up and go then.
Okay.
But it's fell down.
Okay.
Was the old windmill, was that the well probably?
This was Jack's place. He and Beulah, when they married, lived. There was a house. They put a house here, and they
Yeah,
lived
because
here.
there's a little foundation right here.
Okay.
Was it right by the well?
Yes. Pretty near. Pretty close.
It wasn't a very big house, was it?
I don't think so.
Not a very big foundation. Now, whose homestead was this spot?
Well, I don't know whose homestead this would be. Lots of times people
So turned it on.
came and they homesteaded, but they've starved out. So
And the wind blowing right through it.
Nathan was able to pick up a little more land when people left, but I don't know that this was.
But was this, where do you think the Anida's homestead was, or dugout?
Across
was it
the
across the
road.
road? That was one of the homesteads from the web, from the Toilet?
Yes, I know that was. I know.
But this spot right here wasn't part of the homestead original. This is part of purchased land after the fact of homesteaders, correct?
Maybe so. Yeah.
The reason they call this was Jack's place was Jack Webb
Yes.
lived here.
Well, it was on Nathan's land, but he was the first kid that married, so
He got to live here.
They set him up here, and Nathan set him up here.
And they built the house, or the house was already here?
They just got a little ready built, or not ready built, but moved a little house in. I'm pretty sure of that.
So that was this right here.
Yeah.
Right there, right straight in front of us. That's where the old windmill is. Yeah, there was a windmill sitting over there, but all that fell over.
House was old.
Right here.
Okay, there it is.
That look about right.
Because it goes clear up there.
But I don't know the original. And Nathan owned the land when I remembered it.
Nathan owned this quarter, probably.
Yes, that I remember.
But he wasn't a homesteaded. He probably bought it from someone. Is that pretty sure?
I'm thinking he couldn't have homesteaded here and then homesteaded up north of the house. He couldn't have homesteaded both places. So he had to buy this from somebody.
Where would they have farmed
Aunt
this old
Chloe-
sorry country
Aunt
when they
Chloe-
broke it out?
Aunt Chloe could have.
Aunt Chloe could have homesteaded it?
She could have. Maybe. And then Nathan bought it from her. But Aunt Chloe owned some land down at Inez on the left-hand side past Inez. toy, and she had a store down there at one time.
And that was the Inez store.
Well, I don't know if it's called Inez. I guess it was. So I don't think she homesteaded here.
Right here's a little old foundation, LaDoris there. What is this?
How far are we from the road?
About maybe a quarter of a mile.
Maybe a quarter, not quite a quarter of a mile, or maybe about a quarter of a mile.
But you can't tell that. You can't tell that there was a well anywhere around, can you?
No, I don't know.
Well, there's some outcropping of rocks over there and over here.
She had a well, I remember.
What would this foundation have been?
I don't know. I don't remember having a house.
Wasn't there old dairy barns or something you said somewhere down here at one time?
No, not that I remember. No dairy barn here. Dairy barn was around
No.
You don't see anything that would look like a well.
Well, I don't know. What are these rocks out here, Alan? Have you ever been out?
I don't know. Wouldn't drive out there.
I mean, surely there would have been something concrete or something, rocks around the well, wouldn't there?
I would think so.
There you go.
I know it. Dadgummit. We should have come hunting. What would have been this deal? Nothing, not like an old
Okay,
dugout or anything, would it?
Okay. Now look at this. Look at this right here. Let me look. Let me see where we are. This could be the dugout right here.
And whose would that have been?
Ainida's. This is Ainida's place. Was.
And do you think that
But I don't
foundation
know.
back behind us would have been later?
Maybe so. But if this was the dugout, where was the water well?
Well, was it a hand dug well?
Couldn't tell.
Probably wasn't very deep, but probably been filled in by now. But there's rocks behind us. Them two deals of rocks back over here.
That's what my guess would be. I think this must have been some old pen or something.
Okay, I can't remember Ainida's place, how far that way it went.
Did it just go part way? It didn't go plumb to Grandma now. There's a deal on in the FSA office. They got this patch here between here and there gets split. Like I don't know if that was down here. Maybe she went back to the highway.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure it went to the highway. And this was about as far from the road as it was, but I remember a windmill being here.
Which side of the house was the windmill on?
I don't remember a house.
You just remember the dugout?
I just remember the dugout. I don't think I don't remember Ainada having a house, but she must have if that foundation was there.
And how long did she stay here?
Well, I don't know when she married Uncle Joe. She married Joe Graham after being a widow lady for so long.
And then how did Grandma acquire all this land and Grandpa?
Just bought it as it came.
Just bought it from Minnie, and
Yes.
did Minnie and Grandma inherited all of Webb's land, I would assume?
Yes, yes.
And had he already bought a bunch of the land probably before? Well, no, he died. But had Gaither and your grandma acquired more land?
Uncle Gaither was up north of the house. Uncle Gaither lived up north of the house, and the lake across our house was Uncle Gaither and Aunt Flora's, and it laid this way, north and south.
Where was the house? Is it the house where Sammy Tollett used to live?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But
don't
Uncle
know
Gaither
what-
lived north of Grandma's house right now?
The what?
You said he lived north of the house up in that pasture somewhere? Where Grandma and Grandpa's house is now?
Who?
Where you grew up? You said Uncle Gaither lived north of...
No. Uncle Gaither lived on the other side
Oh.
of the road from a yellow stucco white house.
Where Sammy Tollett used to live?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And I don't know whatever happened to that house.
Well, Dick bought all that country, and that house was tore down after Dick sold it.
Okay.
The Bernie's, not Bernie's, new house.
I don't know where Stuart Williams and whatever.
No,
it's called.
Stewart may have, Stewart built. Stewart tore that old house down.
Yeah.
I forgot
He's
Stewart
at
was in
my
there.
house eating dinner today. Stuart Williams is. Williamson.
Okay. All right. What else you know about over? So you think this over here is the dugout? Your Aunt Ida's dugout?
Well, it could be, but I don't know for sure. It could be.
Where else would it have been?
But it looks like it's about the right distance from the road that goes down to the lake. I'll drive here and let me see.
Go out this way.
Just go around this hole here. Yeah, and that looks like about the right distance from the road. Yeah. Let's go up to the cemetery while we're over here.
We're gonna go there right now.
To the Webb Cemetery or Inez?
This one.
Okay. Let's go up there. Okay. Yeah.
What's this right here in that hole?
That could be the dugout right there. What is this?
I'm
That looks
wondering
like
if
that-
that wasn't some old windmill or somewhere right.
That looks like windmill timber to
Tower.
me.
Where it just fell, kind of,
Yeah.
didn't it?
And that's a hole right there. I'll bet you.
I thought that probably is the way it was, not far from that road. Yeah.
So you think this is your Aunt Ida last name? But her before that,
First she married Vincent.
Vincent Tollett.
Ain't Ida Tollett married Vincent and Floyd and Hugh and Dora were her children. Then later in life she married Uncle Joe Graham, and he was the Watkins man. I feel like that's the windmill, and but I don't know. That was the original dugout, and after the windmill stood a while after the dugout, it caved in. But I remember the windmill staying a while.
I didn't even know this was here.
I really and truly, I had never paid no attention to where looking right. But I'm gonna bet it's somewhere right in this area anyway. wind break too.
That way we can off-road and you won't fall out. So,
I don't know. I was a little nervous.
so this is the dugout. Ain't bad.
Yes, and we were too dumb.
Okay, Mom, tell us a story about this.
Well, I don't know the story except that's where Mama's daddy is buried. And there used to be a white picket fence around it. And Willie Music lived right up the road. She would come and get the fence and move it over on something of hers. And Mom would have to come back and put the picket fence around her dad's grave. And across the fence there was two babies' graves. And I don't remember who they were, but Oscar McCormick's mother was buried here. And Oscar and Willie decided they would take their mother's grave up and move it to, I believe, to Inez. So there's supposed to be two babies across the fence, and then there seems like there was two more babies here, but I don't see
So there was 4 baby graves and 2 adult graves?
about, yeah. Two across the fence, I remember.
And we've looked, we can't find them now. They let that field blow years ago before it got in CRP.
Did they have stones? The babies' graves have stones?
No.
Markers or anything? Just what kind of markers? Just wood markers, probably?
I don't know. I just remember coming up here when we were kids and wondering why Mama didn't move her daddy's grave to Inez. Whoops.
That's why I wear this old flopping hat. I can glue it on my head. Don't worry about it blowing off all the time.
So this grave.
This is where James. This is where Nathan rode home and said, "This is the prettiest sight this side of heaven." The grass was blowing knee deep, and there's water in the lakes around. He just thought he had hit heaven on earth.
Huh.
And this is the corner of a homestead? Probably.
I'm sure.
And it would have been James Webb's homestead?
Yes.
I'm gonna move this out of the way and we'll go down and straight that way back toward the water.
Yeah.
See if we can find it.
So who would have been the homestead across the fence? That's the Arrowhead, what they called the Arrowhead field.
Yeah. Well, it was Granny's.
Granny's homestead. How many acres was the homestead back then? Do you remember?
I really don't remember, Tim. Like, do you, Alan?
I don't know. No, I don't. Did they get 160 acres? I thought they maybe got a quarter, but I don't know.
I think they got more. I think originally the Homestead Act was 160, but that was back east where the land was a whole lot better.
Right.
And I think after the latest part of the Homestead Act, they actually got more because
They might
they couldn't live off 160 acres of
Right.
of this country, but I don't know exactly. I'd like to go look that stuff up
And I
sometime.
bet when they first came, there was probably no mesquite, no nothing.
Just grass, knee deep, waving in the wind.
I stopped and looked on the wind tower where everybody signed on it there a while back. You can still see everybody's
Good.
little note that they wrote on there. It's still on there.
That's good.
So were the other baby graves just right across the fence, or?
Well, of course, I'm thinking right along in there.
Why would they have put them on the other side of the fence?
I don't
other
know.
side of the different homestead.
I don't know.
You don't know whose babies they were?
No, I don't know that either. All I remember was the McCormick grave and Mama's daddy. I don't remember. But I'm assuming Willie Music had one by her coming down here and stealing the picket fence.
Would it have been?
I hope don't let anybody
She
read
just borrowed
that.
it, huh?
Don't let anybody.
She stole the picket fence.
That was around this grave. They
Oh,
put
so
it-
it used to have a picket fence around it.
It did. It did at one time. At one time it did. But I don't see any pickets.
There's no, that's what I always wondered, if we need to put panels around it. I can't believe all these years, ever since I've been
I know. I've
around,
never seen it.
there's never been no fence, no nothing around
Never.
it. And I went, why do the cattle not knock it over?
Yeah.
They must have built them better.
I wonder what happened to the corner.
What does it say, James?
It says
Webb?
James C. Webb, January 19, 1873, February 2nd, 1907. Gone but not forgotten.
So 1907, and Belcher's actually come here in 1906.
Grandma was born in Hereford in 1906
Okay.
in a wagon.
So she was a little bitty
This
when
wasn't
he,
Belcher's, this was Webb.
So whenever he died,
She was
a baby.
3
baby.
months old. Is that what you said?
I said 2.
2 months old.
And Minnie was 2 years old.
Because February the 2nd was when he was killed. So when was your
Okay.
mother born? What year, month?
We might have to look at the cemetery.
December?
Might have been December.
It had to be in December because it was. Well, we'll look when we go to the cemetery.
What year was she?
1906.
When's her birthday? What month?
I don't know.
I have to look at the tombstones. Because I don't know either.
I'm gonna cross the fence over here. Don't tell no stories that I need to record while I'm gone. Okay?
Okay. Used to park all of his machinery up here, away from the house. He parked it up here. Used to be 2 wagons, wooden wagons up here, but I guess people carried
I remember them closer down there when we were little. Down there in that draw.
the wagons.
Yeah.
Well, that might be.
When Nathan and them lived here, they were. Remember that draw that used to be just east, kind of north and east of this house?
I think so.
Still there. Okay.
But I think they're up. Nathan probably took them when he moved down to that where they bought that house. I bet.
Probably.
But this was just where they parked stuff. There's no tree.
Years ago.
So where do you think that 2-story house is? Back off over here?
No. It's down
Just
down
gotta
there.
keep between here and the house.
No, down at the house. This left of the house, just down in the lake where all those trees used to be. I don't see any trees anymore. There was a bunch of trees. Cousin and I played mud pies, and we call those limbs of those trees spinach. We'd have a spinach tree in a different country. But the 2-story house was down by the new house.
Well, let's go on down that way so we can come to the house.
She is not as big as she used to be.
So what's the deal with this place now?
This is Aunt Chloe's dairy barn. She bought a herd of dairy cows and moved in with Granny and Nathan and was gonna milk the cows. And she didn't last long milking, so she sold the cows to Daddy. And we would come twice a day to this dairy barn and milk them. Came a snow one year, in 2 weeks we couldn't go to school because of the snow. So we had to walk across the pasture for 2 weeks, twice a day to milk. And Granny would always meet us to warm us up as we got in the back door. She'd have us warmed up. She'd get our gloves off her hand, put them in the oven and warm our gloves up. And then she'd send us on out here to milk. And sometimes she'd have a snack for us in the evening. Sometimes she wouldn't. But anyway, that dairy barn looks a little smaller than it used to be.
You thought it was a big barn, didn't you?
Yeah. So, I don't know who Aunt Chloe bought the cows from. I don't know why she thought she needed her to milk cows. But anyway,
Well, were they selling the cream or the milk or what?
we had a milk truck of milk, and I don't know what happened 2 weeks. I don't know what happened when the milk truck man couldn't come. I don't know. Can't remember.
Well, wasn't there a creamery back then in Portales? Would it probably
Yeah.
go there?
I'm sure there was. We didn't sell cream. We just sold whole milk from home and from here.
So whereabouts do you think the two-story house was?
Okay.
You still think it's north?
No, she
Where's the
said
windmill? Where's the windmill?
it was
Right there.
Right there's a windmill.
Behind that well house.
The windmill that they're getting water from. The current windmill.
It's right there.
It's
Where?
right there. It's got a submersible pump.
They're in that little house right there.
Where? Oh.
Just right down the.
Oh, okay. Turn around a little so I can see.
I'll just pull up over
We'll just pull up there a little closer.
That little house, the windmill sat there. There was a row of trees. Probably, I'm not good at measurement. Maybe from that pin, a row of trees that came down like this and kind of curved back that way. Evergreen trees. And that's the two-story house. The two-story house, that's the windmill there. Okay, the two-story house, see the post there and the round tank, the post. The two-story house, which was kind of like that, and it sat in front of this row of trees that came and curved out here like that.
out this direction.
The row of trees went this way and curved out this way.
So the two-story house about where that tank is,
Yes. About
the one on the right or the one on the left?
left
The big tank.
the big tank. Yeah.
There's a wood
But I
two-story
can't-
house,
Yes.
and it was here before this current house here is.
Yes.
And that who built it?
Homer.
I mean, who lived here?
Grandpa. Nathan. Granny and Nathan lived here.
And you were born here, and Harold, and who else was probably
No.
born here?
I was born in the two-story house, and Harold was too. Homer Bennett built this when I was just a kid.
But who else would have been born in that two-story house? Jerry?
Dick.
With Jerry?
Maybe so.
Why wouldn't he have been?
But huh?
Why wouldn't he have been? He's
Well-
older. He is older than you, wasn't he?
Who?
Jerry.
No.
No.
Mama went to town to have the last 3 babies.
Okay. And she had him out here by herself. Had you? And,
Went to town.
but the other ones she had out here by herself, or what?
I'm sure Granny was here. Granny and Aunt Chloe probably. Yeah.
So the two-story house is to the left of the old windmill right there, where that tank is on the left.
I can never. Oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't.
Sorry, but was there? You don't think there was a dugout? You think there was a dugout probably somewhere north of the house up there, huh?
I think there had to be, but when Mama had Nathan Ralph, we got word, and Harold Dignity, and I ran practically all the way from over home, and we met the ambulance bringing a new baby home. We couldn't wait to see the new baby, so we met it about right down the ways, but it didn't stop to show us the baby. It went right on to the house, and for the last 3 babies we did that. We knew Mama was coming home, so we hiked it her in and ran across the pastures to come and see the baby.
Why was the ambulance bringing them? Is that what they did back in the day?
Oh, yeah, Mom didn't get out of bed for a week after she had them. She came home, Granny waited on her hand and foot for a week. Yeah.
Is that what happened when you had your kids?
Heavens no, I got up and cook supper that night. Well, I imagine I did.
Ralph wouldn't take care of them?
No.
Well, how come?
I'm sure he did. I'm sure he did so.
Well, any other stories about down here you know of?
Good memories. I walked across the pasture many a day, and Cuz would say, she was kind of mean to me sometimes. We'd get about middle ways and there'd be a bull in the pasture. She said, that bull's gonna get you. That bull sure enough is gonna get you. She'd run like a turkey away from me, get way far ahead of her. She'd holler and she'd say, look at him, he's coming. Well, she had me just scared to death, thought the bull was going. He wasn't about to get me at all, but she was mean to me, saying the bull's gonna get you. But if she walked to our house nearly every day that during the summer, and would cook a yellow cake with chocolate icing on it for dinner every day. There was just that many people eating at our house that would clean up the cake every day. And Cuz loved to cook, and Mama loved for her to have her cook dinner, so she'd always tell Cuz to cook the cake, and she'd make a yellow cake with chocolate icing, not from a cake mix, from scratch. Yeah, I have lots of good memories about Cuz.
And she lived here.
She decided her junior and senior year she would like to graduate from Rogers, so she moved in with Granny and Nathan.
Okay.
But where was she living before that?
With her mother in town in Portales.
There across where Minnie used to live when we used to go to town all the time? Or did she live somewhere else?
Somewhere else. Yeah.
Is that who's buried in the Portales Cemetery? Is that whose grave we found? Okay.
Poncho?
We found, wasn't there 2 or 3 we found? Graves in the Portales Cemetery from, isn't that who it was?
Minnie's buried at the Portales Cemetery, isn't she?
No, Minnie and Granny and Nathan and Chloe are.
That's who we found.
Okay. Yeah.
Where's Minnie buried?
Inez.
I don't remember that.
Minnie didn't want Granny and Nathan buried at Inez because
That's right.
people kind of looked down their nose at Minnie, and because of her lifestyle. So she had Granny and Nathan and Aunt Chloe buried in town, and it's hard to get up there to put flowers on the grave. If she'd let them all been buried down there, it'd been easier.
Well, Grandma didn't have any say?
I don't guess.
Grandma wasn't the boss of Minnie?
No.
find that hard to believe.
Minnie was carefree. Everybody loved Minnie. Everybody loved Minnie.
Evidently.
She was. Oh, everybody.
So,
Mama was kind of jealous of Minnie because Minnie was carefree, and they had an uncle in Oklahoma that left them a little money, and so Minnie took her money, and she and Zinnie Hobson and another lady in town, a beauty operator, went to the Kentucky Derby. Mama was so jealous. She was so jealous. But they didn't really want Mama because Mama wasn't going to act the way they were acting. She wasn't going to act that way. So she had to buy a load of hay. And I can hear her say now, well, yeah, Minnie got to go to the Kentucky Derby. I had to buy a load of hay. I can remember she had to buy a load of hay with her inheritance. Minnie went to Kentucky Derby. Had a good time.
so the Tollets, the Webbs, and who else were all kin all out in this country?
Oh, what?
The Tollets and the Webbs, and we're all kinfolks. And who else? The old families were all kin to each other. That all homesteaded out here at the same time. Not necessarily right here, but in the same country. Tollets, Webbs, and who else?
I forget now how many wagon loads there were.
They all come from Oklahoma, right? At the same time?
Well, they left Tennessee, Chattanooga, and they got to Okmulgee, and they stayed till a while.
Didn't one of the boys get sick or something? Wasn't that the deal? One of the Webb boys got sick, from what I've read.
The Webbs didn't come in a covered wagon. The Webbs didn't come. It was the Tollett family that came.
So where was Grandma?
The Webb came when he came out with the Tollets. He was married to Minnie, and he came in a wagon train with the Tollets. James Webb.
Came in a wagon train, and they got to Hereford, and Grandma was born.
Yes.
So they came in a wagon.
And then they, as far as I know,
with the Tollets.
As far as I understood, he was coming down this draw, and coming down off that hill, and that the horses got loose and turned over, and Mr. Bledsoe found him. Bledsoe.
Do you need something to drink?
I got some water. No, don't.
Here, I got the water
It
right
sounds
here.
like your voice is getting a little cracky. Maybe she needs something to drink.
But the Tollets and the Webbs all came out in this country kind of together, and they were all already.
No, the Webbs didn't come.
James Webb didn't come.
James Webb is the only Webb.
The only
Okay.
Webb is what she's
He's the
saying.
only Webb that came.
And then the other Tollets, or Webbs, came later.
Until he got killed. Oh, golly. Anyway, James got killed, so NS came out to help Granny with the two little girls. So while he was here,
I'll
he
show him.
filed on country. He filed on while he was here, but
Who was that?
who
Who came to help and helped?
NS came to help.
NS.
Nathan.
Oh,
Nathan came to help Granny and the two little girls.
and what was his name? Nathan and what?
Nathan Sylvania.
Sylvania. Where did they get a name like that?
I don't know.
It's pretty cool.
I don't know.
So then the Tollets and then just James Webb came, and then later the other Webbs came. Is that what you're getting at, Tim?
Yeah.
None of the Webbs came, but Nathan.
And when would that have been? Right after your
Right
granddad died?
Yes,
So only the two Webbs came,
right.
and the rest of them were Tollets.
Yeah.
And then Grandma and Grandma and Minnie probably inherited some land, and then Grandma bought Minnie out, and then over the years they just bought more land.
Yeah.
Or did James buy more land?
No.
I don't think he had time.
Daddy and Mama just bought Minnie out.
Okay, and that land came from the Tollets, probably. The rest of the land that was around here, correct?
Well, Nathan filed, Granny filed, and then I don't know. I think Daddy and Mom bought the place they're on. I don't know who filed on that land, but whoever it was didn't stay.
Okay. So that's probably not an original. That's not probably an original homestead from the family homestead. As far that's probably bought from some other homesteader.
No, this right here.
This would be the original.
This is where Granny and Granny and her husband came. He got killed. Nathan came, and I understood he filed on that side of the country over. How far does it go over before you get to Hensley Range?
Right next
there,
door.
Just right next door.
That's where that fence is. Right there is the old Hensley Ranch, where that gravel pit is.
I'm not sure where Nathan filed.
Well, now there's another spot that the Belchers own that's up here ways, Alan, isn't it? Where
They bought Ainida out.
that would have been Aunt Ida's. Okay, Ida Vincent.
Yes.
That's what and she was who was she? Before she married,
She was Ainida Tollett.
and then she married a Vincent.
She was Granny's sister.
This Granny's.
Huh?
This Granny right here
Yes.
lives in this house.
Yes.
So the original owners of the homesteaders were Webbs here, Tollett over here.
Vincent.
Well, Tollett, and then we don't know for sure on Grandma where you grew up on. We don't know who that was really. Correct?
No,
Okay.
don't know for sure.
Well, we can find that out. I'll get Charlotte to help me. Tell me how to figure out land ownership down there at the courthouse.
Right.
She knows how to do that. She can give me some pointers. All right. Do you want to go down over to the graveyard, Rogers?
Go where?
Inez?
Inez.
Well,
Inez?
we could.
What was that?
That was. That may have been. That was the dairy barn here. That was a barn up there that it had stalls in it, but it was kind of a horse barn.
That one back up there?
I
remember the
think it
stall.
was.
This
I
is
think
the dairy barn.
This is the dairy barn?
This was the dairy barn.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Yes,
I
it
think
was.
you're right.
But it seemed like further than that from the back porch.
Right.
But that's the dairy barn right there.
Well, that house wasn't there at the time of the dairy barn, right?
Yeah.
It was there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I grew up, they built this house when I was about 5 or 6.
So the old 2-story house was it still there when you were growing up?
No, and I don't know why they tore it down and built this. I don't know.
But you were born in it, so and it was actually right there where that tank is now, off to the left.
There's some pictures of that old house somewhere.
Really? You have pictures?
I think I do.
Where they at?
They may be at home, or they may be. I think they may be in a sack at Elida. Maybe. I'll dig them out and you can have them. Maybe.
We'll make copies of them.
Give everybody some.
Give everybody a copy.
Well,
Cool. All right.
and they planted these trees out.
Yes.
That one out there too. But
Yes.
They've grown really well.
They have
then.
grown.
They have. I
What
get, but
kind of tree?
this old
What-
gal, that house inside there, you can eat all.
In the wintertime, when it would rain and ice over, we'd go skating down here on this lake, this pond down here. We could skate on it.
You had ice skates.
No, we just used our shoes.
Were you a pretty good skater?
We didn't have a clue if we had needed ice skates.
Were you a pretty good skater?
Well, I thought so. There was a dugout over for Granddad Belcher, Lil, but I don't know where it is.
Out at E.E. Belcher's?
Sounds good.
Huh?
Out at E.E. Belcher's?
Yeah,
Where did he live from where the post office was?
I don't know. I really can't tell you. I can't.
Because we
I
know where the
can't-
post office was.
I can't tell you where they lived over in there, but he had a dugout.
Well, remember, we were kind of thinking, Alan, when we were over there, that across the road, that little road, there was a draw, pretty good draw.
Uh-huh.
And we probably figured that's where the homestead was.
Where the post office was.
Yeah, and across that dirt road, I don't remember who owned that land, but there was a pretty good little draw right through there. And I don't remember who was over there, Charlotte or somebody one time said that's where Harold or somebody had told them that that's where the homestead was, the Belcher, E.E. That's where we thought it was across the road from. There's just a little old county road, not very wide. You know what I'm talking about, Alan?
Mm-hmm.
And then right across from there was a draw.
And that was part of that Casey land.
Yeah. So
It's that's all the same.
that was probably, I don't remember.
And all them trees are right across
Right.
the fence right,
right
there.
along that draw.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't remember. We was over there one time, and somebody said that's where the homestead was.
I bet it probably was.
Because you know they had to have water. Okay, Mom. So the Webbs and the Tollets were kin in Tennessee. Kinfolks were. No, they weren't until they got here.
No, the Tollets, Granny Tollet married a whale. That's all that was related.
Granny Tollet, your
My
that
grandmother
was married to James.
married a whale.
Grandma's mother married a Webb, and that's how they were.
Yeah.
But don't get up very
Okay,
close to
that's what I was wondering about, how that all tied together. That's how it all tied together. Okay.
Yeah, that's the way it was.
So the Tollets, mostly the homesteaders out here, were Tollets,
Yeah.
and then the Webbs, and then the Belchers came out here to Belcher, New Mexico, and then Grandma and Grandpa, your mom and Dad, met and fell in love, didn't they?
Married in Hobbs.
Married in Hobbs. Why Hobbs?
Well, I don't know.
Now was E.E. still? He was. Yeah. He was. Was he still around when that happened?
Oh, yeah.
Where did he go after he closed the what did he do after the post office closed in 1911?
I guess he farmed a little. I don't know. I sure don't know.
Huh. Okay. Well, anything else? Any other stories you got for us?
I don't tell.
September 13th.
Do what?
She was born September 13th.
Who?
06.
Grandma was born September 13th.
your mom.
Your mom.
So she must have been like 3-4 months old.
Right.
Probably whenever he died, her dad.
Died in
February the 7th or something, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So 4, yeah.
About 4 months.
I said 2, but I guess it was 4.
Must have been.
And Minnie was 2 years old.
About 2.
Minnie was born in 1905.
1905. So
And
she
Mama
was
was born when?
1906.
1906.
So they were close together.
Just about a year apart.
Oh,
Yeah.
my. Oh, my. 2 little girls.
Well, it was. You was close. So, I mean, it wasn't like about 4 months difference being 2 years older than
Yeah.
Grandma.
Paul Westbrook year to build it. He worked on the year.
So the house where you grew up in on the curve, Paul Westbrook built, but you don't remember what year it was?
No.
Did he
no,
build the granaries too?
No,
Who built the granaries that y'all lived in?
I don't know.
Because y'all lived in the granaries before the house was being built.
Right.
How old were you?
I probably was 10 or 12.
So that would have been in the 40s. Well, I can remember somebody saying that they like to not got it built because it was rationing on lumber and stuff. And your mom,
That makes sense too.
grandma, went to the banker, Mr. Stone, and he helped her get stuff, even though there was rationing, because she had such a big family that he helped her get lumber and all kinds of stuff because there was rationing. So that would have been during World War II. That would have been the 40s, correct?
Yeah.
If there was rationing, so.
Mama put in for a permit to build a house because we were living in a shack, and at that time a shack, and she got turned down, and Frank Greathouse put in a permit to build another room and bathroom. He already had a nice house and bathroom, so they put in for a permit to build another room and a bathroom for the old man Greathouse to move in with them.
That's where you live, Alan.
Where I live, right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And they got that permit. Well, I think Mama went to the banker, and the banker helped her. He went and testified that Mama was needing a house pretty bad, and they gave her permit. But lumber was rationed, and you could just get so much at a time. And Paul Westbrook just leisurely built the house. It took him a year. But he built it nice. It was a nice house. I never will forget Harold, Dick, and Jerry and I came home from a ball game, and Mama had gone with Floyd and May Vincent to Lubbock, and had bought fluorescent lights for the living room and dining room and kitchen. We came home from the ball game, and Daddy had installed those lights. We just stood. We were so amazed. It was so bright. It hurt our eyes. We were so amazed that we were used to call our lamps.
Right.
And anyway, Daddy installed the lights.
What year would that have been?
Well, I was a pretty good sized kid. Jerry was. I wish I knew what year that would have been. We were all in school. Harold we were all 7 at school at the same time, 1 year. The year Harold was a senior, Lloyd Wayne was in the 1st grade. So when the bus came by, Harold was driving it, but he loaded us all up. the 6 of us loaded up in the bus. Mm-mm.
He didn't drive crazy on the bus, did he?
Harold drove school bus. Dick drove school bus. I drove school bus, but Jerry never drove.
Well, that's probably a good thing. The way he drove, it'd have been crazy.
No. So anyway, it made $20 a month for driving the school bus.
That was pretty good, wasn't it?
Most money I'd ever had.
No kidding.
Was that when Grandpa was on the school board?
Yeah, I guess he was on the school board. I played hooky a time or two while Daddy was on the school board.
You got away with it or what?
Well, Katie and I and Travis Foster and Jimmy Turnbull, I think, went to Portales one day from town, and I was, when I got back to Rogers, there sat my school bus with all the kids on it. And anyway, just I got there, Miss Allison, Gladys Allison, came marching out. I act like I didn't see her. I stepped on the gas and whirled out of the schoolyard, and the way I went home. But she had already got hold of Daddy. She had already somehow. It wasn't. Anyway, Katie wasn't driving the bus, and it really didn't matter too much. Her folks. I don't know what happened, but anyway, that was one incident while I played hooky.
Did you get a whooping?
No.
That's what I was going to ask.
No. Only whipping I ever got from Daddy was me whipping Jerry.
I bet you Jerry laughed about it, didn't he?
He screamed like a panther.
Why?
You could hurt him. Well, 'cause I was whipping him. I was whipping him with a iron to electric iron.
Was you the boss of your brothers?
I don't imagine.
Probably not Harold, but probably the rest of them you were, weren't you?
I don't think I was. I don't think I was the boss. I earned their Levi's and shirts many an hour.
But you didn't boss them around?
Probably some.
Yeah.
Tried anyway.
I bet you could bluff the little ones, couldn't you?
Oh, cousin and I would take Tex and Lloyd, and they were our big, our babies. We would give them a bath and put that baby stuff in their hair and bring a curl down here and curl it, and then we'd pretend we was going shopping, and we'd walk to the mailbox shopping, carrying our babies and back. They were our lifetime. We didn't need dolls. We had babies. We had the real life thing.
Had the real deal.
Yeah, we did. We did. They were such pretty little boys. Pretty little boys.
Okay. I need to know more about the 2-story house down in the lake at Granny's. When was it built? Do you remember?
I have no idea.
Well, who was it built for?
Granny and I Nathan.
Well, who lived in the other house? It was built after the house that's sitting there now, wasn't it?
No.
It was built first?
I was born in that house.
Who else was born in that house?
I don't know.
Harold was.
I guess Harold and Dick.
What happened to that house?
I do not know.
We were talking about this earlier, that it might have
We do not know.
been torn down, used pieces to build another house.
So it was built before the house that's still sitting there now. Did it have a... Okay. See, that was my confusion, because I thought it was built after.
No.
Yeah, okay.
No. I can barely remember going up the stairs and getting in a trunk, Granny's trunk, prowling. But I don't remember anybody living in it. And I remember the new house on the hill being built.
Yeah.
That's the house that's there now with the basement, little basement in it. Granny's house.
Yeah.
What I know is Granny's house was the one that's there now. I never knew about the 2-story house until a few years ago.
Okay.
You don't know when the house was built?
The 2-story?
Yeah.
No. Long before I was born.
But you were born there, Harold was born there, and if you and Harold was born there, then Dick had to be born there, and probably Jerry.
More likely.
Okay.
But the 3 little boys was born in a hospital.
But you don't ever remember what happened to it? You don't remember what happened or where it went, or you think it was tore down to use something else, probably?
I do not know.
Okay, so when was the house where at the corner at the curve built during the war? Where Grandma's house? Where I'm called Grandma's house.
It was built during the war.
But y'all built the granary first, and y'all lived in the granary, correct?
Yeah. Lived in the
And
granary.
Westbrook built it.
Who?
Westbrook?
Built the house that Mom and Daddy.
Yeah.
Mom and Daddy said.
Who built the house at Granny's?
I was fixing to tell you. They were builders in Portales after that. But I can't think.
So it was like a group, like a family that
It
built
was
houses?
Two brothers.
Two brothers?
So,
I think.
I forgot my train of thought.
When you were living in the granary, was it
I had the south side part of the granary.
yeah, you had your own little
I
section?
had my own
You
little
need to go see it.
Yeah.
little
You won't
bedroom,
believe it.
and I put a curtain.
Yeah.
I fixed me a wire across.
You got to get that privacy.
Oh yeah, I had these full boys.
Yeah, yeah.
And I
You need to
fixed
go
me
see
a
it.
little,
It's still standing.
my bedroom. I had put a curtain across the door, and I had the south side of the granary as my bedroom.
Yeah.
Then the boys had the north side of the granary.
Wow. And how long
And
were
then
y'all
Mom
in?
and Daddy slept in the. Their bed was in the middle of the granary. We had a granary here and
Yeah.
a granary here, and this place was on the ground.
Okay.
And they had their bed and the chest of drawers and all in the middle.
Wow.
So,
And how long were y'all in there while you were building a new house?
a long time.
It was a long.
Because Paul Westbrook smoked a pipe, and most of the time he was filling his pipe and trying to make it smoke.
No electric
He
tools. all
just
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
smoked a
Took
pipe,
over a year to
and
build the house.
he worked
Wow.
real hard every day to keep his pipe going.
Wow.
So, who built who? So they built. Was Granny's house built before y'all's house up on the curve?
Yes.
The house that I know of, it's
Yes,
now, not the
yes,
2-story. The house that I know
Yes.
now.
Yes.
Was
Yes.
it built by where the
Trying to
dugouts were?
dugouts were for the house.
I know, but was it built around the dugout, or did they move it?
No.
From what the video was, we found two dugouts on the video. I don't know if you remember. I think you'll
Yeah.
when you see it. You'll see it.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if I have any more questions, but
Yeah.
you need to go see the granary
I know. I can't. So
because I know what
it
she's
was
talking
not
about because
operating
I've been in
though.
there.
Well, it wasn't operating as a
no,
granary. It
no.
was. How long had it not been operational?
They built it first
It
because
wasn't
it's more
at that
important.
time because there was
Oh, so it was brand new.
it was new.
Built it first.
But
Yeah.
shortly after we moved out of the granary and moved into the house, there was grain on this side of the granary and grain on this side of the granary. We built us a rope in the middle, got us a rope in
Yeah.
the middle, and we would swing for. There would be grain,
Yeah.
and the opening to where the auger would auger the grain in
Mm-hmm.
on each side. But we would, in the meantime, we would swing from place to place.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Dick was pushing me on the swing, and he aimed a little bit that I didn't hit the hole of the,
No.
and it knocked me out.
So you
I
landed
was
right in
out,
between the two.
It hit the side of the granary.
Oh
I was
no.
out like a light. So he put me in a wash tub, a number 2 wash tub.
No.
And he and Mama got on each side of the wash tub, put me in it. I was out like a light. They
Yeah.
hauled me to the house, and my granny came over and nursed me. I don't know. I was out. I don't know how long. Overnight.
Really?
I was
You were knocked out overnight.
well. I don't know how long.
Sure.
actually,
You just
but
remember
I
it
was,
being
I
real
was,
rough.
I remember Granny coming and nursing me. And,
Wow.
And,
Were
and
y'all
seemed
still allowed
like
to
she
play?
It seemed like she put some oil on my head.
Sure.
But I can't think of what kind of oil that would be.
Yeah.
And that probably was just me thinking that up. I don't think there
Yeah.
would be
You
anything.
need to see the granny.
Any kind of
Because
oil.
I know.
you won't. I mean, I've seen
Don't
it.
appreciate
I played
it.
in it.
Yeah,
I played
yeah.
in it.
So
But anyway,
is it dangerous
Daddy
then?
Daddy
No.
said the rope will come down.
After that,
The rope.
he didn't.
So we had to get rid of our rope.
So he
and
took
our
it down
swing.
after that. So then you put it back up.
No. When we were coming along, there wasn't any grain in it.
It was just all
He'd
bare.
used it as a shop. The middle part
Oh,
was full
okay.
of part. They didn't throw
Bunch
nothing
of
away.
parts.
I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
there was old
Just stuff in there.
starters and all kinds of stuff down.
Combine the grain, he would put it in a truck and then auger it into.
Yeah.
And as he got more grain done, he put
It had slabs.
boards up,
Yeah.
and he had one plumb sealed up at one time. So that kind of stopped our swing too.
Wow.
The dairy barn
We actually got some wood out of it.
was built
Oh.
when I was, I don't know. It was built before I can remember. But they really weren't. But Daddy and they really wasn't running a dairy till I was probably maybe even a freshman.
Oh yeah.
No, it was built for then, I remember.
you-
But we
Maybe
didn't
junior
have
high.
milkers. We didn't have milkers. We milked by hand for a long time before we got milkers.
Right.
Do you
and by
know-
milkers you mean machines or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Delabel.
Yeah.
Remember they called them delabels.
Labels.
But anyway, we milked by hand. We poured it in a strainer, made a strainer, poured it in a strainer, got a 10-gallon cream can full. We'd type it and set it over here. And the milkman would come every morning
Yeah.
to pick up the milk.
Then would he pay you on the spot, or
Oh,
would
no.
he
They'd
put it
test
on a
it.
tab?
Oh, no,
They'd test it.
Test, make sure that it was
Milk
good.
fat. They'd sell it by the milk fat.
Oh, for real? Wow.
Quality in the milk fat.
When
Do you where did E.E. Belcher live when you were growing up?
Over on his place back east,
Over there by the where the
Belcher.
where the post office was?
Over
Was it across the road from the post office?
I don't know, but he.
But there was water there.
Yeah.
I think I know where it's at. Me and Alan have talked about. There's a draw across the road and some old trees. And
Seems
that's
like
the only
there was a...
that's the only place that there could have been water back in those days. Is that draw.
Yeah.
But it's across. At that time there wasn't a road there, but now there's
Yeah.
a county road.
Okay.
See, we messed up and we didn't get the post office. It's set up there for years. But anyway, all right, that's all I think I can thought of. If you think of anything,
Do we drill you hard enough, Mimi?
we're gonna make a. He's
Feel
gonna make a big video of everything. Put all that stuff that we did the other day.
Oh, that'd be good.
He'll
That'd be
put it
fun.
on
I could think
link.
a lot of things after you get the video made.
Yeah,
We'll do it again. We'll do it again.
Well, I have a few questions that I have to ask you, and then I'm going to write a paper over it. So I'm going to make you sound like a superhero grandma like you are.
Let's really puff it up.
Okay. Oh, I can do that. Okay, so there's just a few categories that I want to talk to you about. So one's more of like family, one is education, kind of quality of life, and then your faith. So I don't really have structured questions, but I just kind of want to I want to talk about what you want to talk about really. But just to start off, do you mind telling me kind of like what your childhood was like, what you enjoyed most, what you enjoyed the least, a lot of your parents and all your siblings, and kind of just what you want to talk about that.
Okay. I grew up at Inez, and the center of our community was the little Inez Methodist Church, and the boys and I, we couldn't wait for Sunday to go to Sunday school, and then as we got to be teenagers, we were in a youth group, and Sammy Tolley was the only one around that had a car, so he would take us to Fertalisum for our youth group. But every Sunday after church, we would have a baseball game down in the field east of the house, down in the pasture.
Yeah.
And we would use cow chips as our bases. And we would have my cousin Billie Jean was staying with my grandparents then. She'd be there. There'd be Keith Greathouse, and then there would be the Clark boys, and there would be the Westbrook boys, and then there would be the Sammy Tollett, and then there would be Maureen Vincent usually would come up. Just big bunch, and we'd have a baseball game every Sunday afternoon, and girls and boys. But anyway, I tell Charles so often it is such a blessing to grow up in the country where you can see God's beauty in so many things. I said, if we had grown up in the city, we wouldn't see the sun come up, we wouldn't see the moon come up, and we wouldn't see we just wouldn't realize what God has done in our lives if we had grown up in the city. And I thank God every day for my wonderful, wonderful parents. We didn't have much, but my grandmother was the one that really, really loved me more. I don't ever remember my mama telling me she loved me or ever hugging my neck, nor my daddy, but my grandmother did. But I don't think people were as loving back then, it's just, but I had such a wonderful, wonderful childhood with all of my brothers. We had lots of rough and tumble times, I'm sure, and I lots of times our cousins, Daddy's brother Sam and Edith lived across the way, and they would, when we were young, they would come over on Saturday night, and we would have wrestling tournaments. They had one boy, and then there was Harold, Dick, Jerry, and I, and we would have wrestling tournaments. And Eugene, that was the boy that was the cousin, he'd get mad, and lots of times they'd have to send him to the car because he'd have a temper fit. But there was a girl, Juanita was younger than me, but she was too sophisticated to wrestle. But I loved wrestling. I loved to get those boys under my knees and get my butt up in their face and twist around and get them down. Anyway, I had such a wonderful, wonderful childhood. We didn't have much money, but we didn't know we didn't because we didn't really need anything. And my mother, as I grew older, I made all my clothes from the time I was in 8th grade, I guess.
Wow.
As I got older, every time she'd go to town, or not every time, but many, many times, she would bring back a beautiful piece of material and give it to me, and I could make me a skirt or a blouse or a dress or what. And I did lots of sewing as a 8th grader on through high school, and I did have pretty clothes in high school, but they were all homemade.
Yeah.
But anyway, I tell Charles all the time what a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful childhood I had, and our home was a loving home in a sense, but there wasn't lovey hugging and saying I love you. They just didn't do that. They just didn't do that. But I knew Mom and Daddy loved me, but they didn't ever show it. But they did.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway.
Yeah, do you think that was because of just the amount of brothers that you had that just wasn't a way of life for them? Because I've seen that growing up, is that like whenever I was younger, like the brothers were loving, because I understand like you would play with them and everything, but now that we're older, it's easier for them to show their love. Did you kind of see that?
I see it now. Tex and I talk almost daily. We talk almost.
Good.
Charles don't understand that, and there's just a bond there that we need to talk.
Mm-hmm.
We need to talk, and we talk about Mom and Daddy, and we talk about this, and we talk about that. But we and he always tells me he loves me.
Oh, that's
And I love that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I've lost, all the boys are gone but Tex and Lloyd.
Yeah.
They're all gone. But anyway, I've just been so blessed, Asha. I've just been so blessed.
How did you and Papa meet?
Your papa was born in Dalhart, and
Oh, I didn't know that.
they had a beautiful wheat farm, but his dad kind of had a drinking problem, and they had a beautiful crop on the ground, and it came a hail, and it wiped them out. And instead of him toughing it out, he sold out,
Wow.
and moved to Portales, and they worked an irrigated farm a while, and Ralph went to school at Floyd a little while. Then he went to school at Portales a little while. Then they rented Cyril Carter's dryland farm over kind of close to where my dryland farm is.
Mm-hmm.
And Ralph started going to high school at Rogers, and we met in high school, and he was in the same class. He was 2 years older. He had stayed out 2 years and helped his daddy farm when they were in Dalhart. So
Yeah.
he stayed out 2 years to help. He was a very probably mistreated young man growing up. But he survived, and he forgave his dad, and that was good. But then we started skating. We had roller skating at Rogers, and he brought me home from skating one night, and then we started dating.
Oh,
And we
that's so
dated.
cute.
We dated. I guess we were sophomores. Anyway, we dated all through that, and then before he graduated from high school, he knew he was going to be drafted into the Army,
Mm-hmm.
but he just felt like he needed to go to work and make some money, so he quit school when he was a senior and moved to Tahoka, Texas, and worked on Pritchard's ranch down there. And then when I graduated, we got married. And 1 month after we married, he was drafted into the Army, and we moved to Paso Robles, California.
Oh my goodness.
For basic, he was in basic training. And Bill Foster went with him, at the same time. And Charlene and I went to California to be with the guys. Her aunt was here, so she drove with us, but we drove to California. And I had $100 in my pocket, and I thought I was rich. But I soon found out I wasn't. But I couldn't call home for money. I just didn't have I just couldn't. But I did write. My brother, just older than me, Dick, I wrote him a letter and asked if I could borrow some money. And he sent me some money. Yep. So anyway, then after basic training, Ralph was shipped overseas for 14 months. I went home to Mama, and worked at the cafeteria at Rogers High School and drove a school bus for that next year.
Yeah.
So I should have went to school, but I was not. I really wasn't. I was not mature enough. I really wasn't ready to face the world, Asha.
Yeah.
I really wasn't.
When did you start working at the bank?
I was 50 years old. Tim was still at home, I think. Anyway, I got a call from the bank, and Mr. Ferguson called and said, "I hear you're wanting a job." I said, "I didn't know I was wanting a job. I didn't know." And he said, "Well, I'd like for you to come on in and interview with David." Well, I told Ralph. My mother was sick a lot, and she called on me to come over there. Every day I'd go across the prairie to Mama's. Every day I would go. She was sick, but a lot of it, she wasn't sick. It was mostly she was afraid she was going to get sick. But anyway, I would go every day across the way over home and tend to Mama and Daddy and cook their dinner and leave enough for their supper. And then the next day she'd say, "Babe, if you could come over and do this and do this for me." And I really, really, really neglected my own family. I really did.
Yeah.
But I thought that's what I was supposed to do. But anyway, that went on for a long, long time. Anyway, I told Ralph we owed over $100,000 at the bank at the time. And I was raising calves and Holstein heifers and hogs. I was trying to make a hand, but I told Ralph when he came in, I said, "They called and offered me a job at the bank." I said, "I don't know what to do." And he said, "Well, you better go." I was so afraid they'd call our note in.
Yeah.
I was so afraid they'd call our note in if I didn't go to work and help me pay that note off.
Yeah.
So I couldn't bear to tell my mother because I felt like I kind of let her down. That I couldn't wait on her every day. But anyway, I went to the bank and I told David. I said, "David, I've never applied for a job before." He said, "Did I ask you to apply for a job? Did I ask you to fill out an application form?" And I said, "No, but Mr. Ferguson did." And I said, "It's pretty blank." I said, "All I know how to do is raise kids and calves." And he said, "Be to work at Monday morning." And I started to work, and Asha, I loved it because I was my own boss. No one could tell me to come and cook dinner. Ralph couldn't say, "You got to go irrigate, you got to do." No one could tell me what to do that day because I had a job. And I loved it. And I worked 24 and a half years and made a hand at the bank.
Wow.
And loved it. But I kind of had a little setback. I think I kind of had a nervous breakdown thinking I had let Mama down.
Yeah.
But I felt then that I owed it to Ralph Allison to help him pay that $100,000 note off.
Yeah.
I owed it to him too. So that was my career days, and I loved it. And I will always appreciate David Stone for giving me a chance because I was 50 years old in January the 7th, and I started working. July the 7th that year, and I started working July the 13th, I think, after I was 50 years old. And not many people would hire a 50-year-old old lady already. But I loved it. I was almost 75 years old when I quit.
Holy cow, Mimi. You just keep on going.
I had what kind of a battery is that bunny got that he just
Yeah, the
keeps on?
Energizer Bunny.
Yeah.
So what did you enjoy most about being a mom, and what did you enjoy least of being a mom?
What I enjoyed most about being a mom is when the kids were doing things at school, and they could do good, and they did good, and my heart just swelled up because I was so proud.
Yeah.
The things I guess what I liked least, I guess hoeing cotton in the summertime.
Oh, yeah.
With all the kids. That's what I hated worse. But I never sent them to the field. Never sent them without I went with them. Because I knew how they hated it, and I knew how hot it was, and I knew how hard it was, and I knew that they hated it. So I went with them, and I guess that's what I hated most. But about being a mom, maybe I felt insufficient as far as really making them excel in their. They did that on their own. What they did. I didn't feel efficient enough to really help them with their studies.
Yeah.
And what they did, they just did on their own, kind of. I guess that's what I guess. And the thing I regret the very most was that I didn't have them in church every Sunday.
Yeah.
I had them in Sunday school, but I didn't. That wasn't our priority at that time, and I regret that so much. And I will always regret that.
Yeah. I feel like that's definitely part of raising a family, is having that foundation and
You
knowing
bet.
where your priorities are. So
You
I can
bet
see where you're
you.
coming
You bet
from.
you.
Well, what did you see kind of a difference in the education that your kids got than what you got?
Oh, I do. They went to a better school in the first place. My kids weren't. The boys weren't athletic like we were growing up, because that they had to have us to play because there wasn't enough. And at Portales, there were so many going out, and Kent and Randy came home and got on the tractor. Or Randy usually had a job, but Kent came home every day instead of practicing ball. He came home and got on the tractor.
Oh, yeah.
So they got a better education than we did, because I feel like the teachers were better qualified. The school was better. I just feel that way.
So was school kind of difficult for you, or did you feel like you kind of got the grasp of ideas pretty easily? When you were in school, did you feel like you grasped ideas easily, or was it kind of difficult for you?
Oh, no. I was very athletic, and I couldn't wait to get through the classes to get out and play ball. I couldn't wait. That was, and my friend Katie, we went through high school together 12 years. She's still my dearest friend.
Yeah.
But when we started taking typing, she could stay after school because she lived right there and practice. She could just type circles around me, and I was so kind of, I guess you'd say, envious, maybe, because I'd just fly, but I'd make too many mistakes. But I didn't have the access to get to stay and practice like she did.
Yeah.
Cause we had to get home and milk the cows and do the chores, and she lived right there in Rogers and stayed after school and typed, and there was nothing else for her to do.
Yeah.
So she had a little bit better advantage that way, but we got along perfect. I don't think we ever got mad at each other in the 12 years we were in school
Oh
together.
my goodness.
I don't think we ever riff-raffed any. Mm-mm. We still have a good time. I saw her today.
Did you have lunch with her today?
She was there. You bet. Yeah. Yeah.
So this will probably be my last kind of question for you, but it's kind of a complex one. So what is your kind of journey of your faith? Like, where did you start and where have you come to now?
Of my faith?
Yes.
Well, like I say, I grew up in a little place where little Inez Methodist Church was the center of everything.
Yeah.
And Harold was my oldest brother. Lots of times Mama couldn't get around to going or didn't go or whatever. He'd get out, and we didn't have a car, but we had a pickup. He'd get out in the pickup and started, and he was the chauffeur. And he'd get so mad at the other boys, because they wouldn't hurry up and get there. But we grew up around the Inez, and I was a charter member of the Inez. I got a certificate when I was a little bitty girl that I was a charter member of the Inez Methodist Church Women.
Oh, wow.
It's somewhere, I don't know where, but anyway, my faith, I have always. Cuz was the only sister I had, and that was my mother's sister's daughter, and she lived with Granny. Anyway, and we had an old maid aunt. Her name was Aunt Chloe, and she belonged to the Inez Missionary Society, Woman's Missionary Society, and she always had Bibles and booklets and brochures and always a bunch of stuff. Well, Cuz and I would play missionary, and she'd say, "Now I'll lead the singing and you can do the praying." And she'd say, "Okay, we're gonna sing," and she'd say, "Well, now you can't carry a tune. Let me just sing." So she'd,
Yeah.
and then she'd come over to the house and after we'd eat dinner, she during the summertime she walked across the pasture every day, and Mama would fry fried chickens, 2 or 3 of them, and Cuz would make a chocolate cake. We had a chocolate cake every day, a fresh one, and then we could go up to Steve Corbin's place up on the north of the house and go swimming, but Daddy wouldn't let us. Sometimes we could. She'd say, "Let's pray about it. We'll pray that Ralph," that's my daddy, "would take us swimming." Well, sometimes he would, and sometimes he wouldn't. She'd say, "You didn't pray hard enough, or he would have taken us. He would have taken us if you'd have prayed hard enough." Anyway, she was quite a bully growing up, but when we got grown, and she and her husband and Ralph and I took trips together, we had the best time. Best time. But I just was a believer all my life because I prayed for petty things back then.
Yeah.
but no, Inez was, and now as since I've been going to church at Charles's church, I really see a difference in some of the things, but I still have a deep love for the way I grew up at Inez Church.
Yeah.
And I was baptized. My brother, just younger than me, and Maureen Vincent, we were baptized in Steve. Let me think. Anyway, his not earthen tank, just a water tank, out across over in the pasture.
Yeah.
So that's been my life.
Oh, that is so good, Mimi.
I've had a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful life, and I'm an old lady, and I'm still enjoying life.
Sounds like it.
I had such a wonderful married life, but I was lonely. I'll admit I was.
Yeah.
But Charles has been good to me. Oh, very good. So.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having this with me. I wrote down about 3 pages of notes.
When you get it all written.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. It'll be an awesome story. It really will.
There's been ups and downs, but I've had a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful life. Sure have.
Well, thanks for sharing with me, Mimi.
Well, put your computer where it won't get wet next time.
Yeah, I definitely will. I have a case for it and everything now, so I'll be 10 times more careful.
We'll talk to you later, babe.
Yes. Well, love you guys. Y'all be careful.
Love you too. Bye.
Bye.